So let's continue with the Easter season. And, by the third century, we said earlier on, the church has three big days, not Christmas, but Epiphany was older than Christmas. Pascha was the very oldest, right? So Easter, a fixed date before it became fluid. And then Pentecost was another time par excellence for baptisms, right? And so Pentecost is not a season. Pentecost is a day that is the culmination of the Easter season called the Great 50 Days, right? So it's a season of joy, of celebration, of catechism, because what is Easter season? If you have baptisms on Pentecost, as we have looked at the history in all of these major cycles, the Advent Christmas cycle, the Lent cycle, and now the Easter season cycle, the season develops as a time of catechesis for those who are going to be baptized at the end of the season. And in that one, it is Pentecost. We get Ascension in there, which is the Sunday before Pentecost, but Pentecost really is that culmination. Ordinary time is called the Sundays after Pentecost, not the Sundays of Pentecost. All right. So just for you liturgical year geeks out there, want to just make sure we have that straight. But Pentecost is important in the life and the story, the narrative of the church, of course. So the newly baptized were prepared to be baptized on Pentecost. And here's an interesting little historical tidbit. It was a much more important season to the early church than Lent. So people really focused on, there was the baptisms on Easter, but early church, even before Lent became the preferred way to bring people in, yes, they would have had catechesis, but they would have continued their learning, those who had been baptized on Easter Eve, continue their learning through the Easter season. And that was a very important season to the early church. So Easter has a lot of yearning and human condition kinds of things attached to it. This is renewal is the essence of what we all yearn for as humans on a regular basis, right? Yearning for purpose, for renewal, new life in the midst of death, starting again. Who doesn't want a do-over, right? How can we live as the Easter people without fear if we really believe that we have died and risen with Christ already? What have we to fear from death? Now, that's the concept. To make that reality is pretty hard, but we can keep proclaiming it, right? That we are an Easter people. The Easter season itself, I think, addresses our yearning for joy, for joie de vivre, right? That essence, that joy of life, for celebration, right? Life can get us down. And those of you who know from my series 2 years ago, Purveyors of Awe for Lent, I am a big geek around the scientific research about awe and wonder and community and collective effervescence and self-giving and how all of that brings us more joy. And so I want, I have an anytime version of that Purveyors of Awe series that you could do during the Easter season, and it would fit right in, right? Because of this human yearning for something, to lift our spirits, right? What holds us back from daring to dance fully? What is keeping us back? What is keeping us down? There's a lot these days that can do that. And our job is to resist, right? The resistance of joy. Ah, that's a great Easter season theme as well. So yearning for a sense of empowerment, filled and fulfilled, a common purpose. This is what Pentecost and the scriptures that we read at Pentecost is that the people found their empowerment and their purpose as they gathered together, even though they had great differences. Gosh, that makes the Love One Another series also a good one for this. So how can this church affirm and strengthen its purpose? That is a good question for the Easter season culminating in Pentecost. So friends, we have a lot of things in the library for the Easter season. based on these theological themes that I have mentioned: resurrection, ascension, sending of the Spirit. The Spirit is with us. Season of joy, living as Easter people, the great spiritual harvest, which is what Pentecost is. A post-resurrection appearances, the presence of Christ in the community. Those are great stories. And there are several things. Actually, the one that I'm going to do, and I am going to tell you what I think I'm going to do on this one. Uh, Affirmation of faith. So yeah, there's a lot of good messages. The Year B series that I did, this was 6 years ago during pandemic, called Dare to Dance Again. And it really was that idea that we can even sing in the rain. And it rains a lot, but that idea that, and so umbrellas are the anchor image, and the themes are dance like nobody's watching, to quote a song, called to rejoice even before things are right again. Resurrection calls us to dare bold action on behalf of justice. This is the essence of this message. And again, well, everyone who did this series, um, probably everyone was doing it online, or most people anyway. And so bringing this back out again could be something that you do. And pastors, if you have moved churches, you've done it before. Give yourself a break, do it again, and look back on how you preached it the first time. It's going to be different than it was 6 years ago, right? Or whenever you did it. So let's just take a look at this trailer, because I think this is a super important message, this singing in the rain. I hope you'll consider it if you follow the lectionary and you haven't done it before, you want to do it again. Okay, friends, this is what I'm going to be working on. This is a DIY series that I have wanted to make into a fully scripted series for a long time. We often call the Sunday after Easter a low Sunday, or sometimes you do it as Holy Humor Sunday. Um, and a lot of pastors take it off, right? You're so exhausted from Holy Week and Easter. But here's what I want to invite us to do, and I think this series can do it, and so I'm going to write it towards this, and that is, after we've had visitors, first-time people on Easter Sunday, invite them back to just for 7 weeks, the length of the Easter season, just for 7 weeks, see what it would feel like to have this place as your spiritual home. Or what does it mean to belong? What does it mean to have a home? What does it mean to have a community? And then live that out during the Easter season, right? Maybe you decide this year to give yourself a little bit of a break in the Lent season and not go so big on Holy Week, or whatever you can do to save up your energy. But, if we have visitors that come back the Sunday after, and it's a low Sunday and the pastor isn't there, and they're like, oh, I guess we really are just Easter people, Easter Christmas churchgoers, right? But I think it's also important for our folks who come every Sunday to remember why it is that we plant ourselves somewhere, why it is that we nurture community, why it is that we need a familiar front porch where we can hang out and tell stories and have lemonade or whatever, right? So that's the anchor image, is this front porch or an urban stoop. And so that's what I am going to be working with. as this year progresses. Um, and it's the scriptures in year B. It will be a year B. Um, the word abide comes up again and again. And these post-resurrection appearances of Jesus, he keeps showing up in places that were familiar to them, that were home to them. So, like in year B, the scripture is Jesus, the risen Jesus in year B says, meet me back at Galilee, right? And that's home. That's home. And so, what does it mean to have a place to call home? A spiritual community of people you trust that have your back, kind of thing. I think that's an important message in our day, right? So, the human need for belonging. There's a lot of research out on that these days, so you'll have lots of sermon fodder about that. Spiritual home is gathered community, Jesus' invitation to abide with each other, and the front porch or stoop is the anchor image. And I will start this Easter season on Easter Sunday because what you want to do is have a beautiful message that invites people to come back. Maybe even invite them to join a small group or just try that for a limited amount of time, whatever it is that you decide to do. All right, friends. There are many things you can do in the library for Easter, all with different aspects of the theological themes. Take a look at those. Of course, subscribers, you scroll all the way down on all of those pages in Substack for a series. You get to those to that button, takes you right to the file sharing space. You can open up those files in Hightail without looking at them. That's why PDFs, looking at the PDFs is a really good way to do that. So you're not downloading everything if you're not going to use it, just to clog up your computer. But you can look at those things. You can also remember through the chat button on that page for any series, there is a chat associated with it, and you can go and see pictures from churches who have done these series before. And that's where you can also share ideas and resources. And for those of you who have been part of the old platform for a while, you know that because it was interactive, we had a lot of sharing of resources with each other. And we're still going to do that. And you still have access to the things that people already shared in the old platform. I have made a document, a PDF document in each one of the series in our file sharing space called Hightail. And it has links to the things that people have previously shared. And so all of that is preserved in this new place. You just get to it in a little different way. And you can use that chat. You can upload your own photos. You can upload your own thoughts about any of the series. You can share ideas. It's just in a little simplified way here in the new Substack place. And I so appreciate your flexibility and learning curve. I know it's a learning curve, but I think that given the trends that I was seeing on the old platform where people were mostly using it to come on and get their files and look at series, I think this is going to help us to do that. So again, in those downloads under the worship education in the Easter season, you can download these slides, which are your cheat sheets for all of the Revised Common Lectionary scriptures. So you can see those at a glance and then get ideas. Sometimes it's just helpful to have an at a glance look at these scriptures to have ideas pop up. And then you go to the lectionary site, read those in whatever translation in Bible Gateway, and think about, is there something that I'd rather do my own series with, or am I going to use one of Marcia's series to help me along the way? And you can do a year of fluctuating in that. So the narrative lectionary, I do have Draw the Circle Wide, which will at some point be a series that I make into a fully scripted series, but not this year. I'm going to use a place to call home. But at some point I will make Draw the Circle Wide. It's based on the narrative lectionary, but I will probably make it an anytime series. So you can use it anytime, and it's really about the expansion, because the narrative lectionary and also the Gospels in year B talk about, or the epistles, sorry, talk about the expansion. And so you get all those wonderful scriptures about it's not just for the Jewish people who are becoming Christians, for the Gentiles as well. And so that expansion of who the good news is for, and who has the good